For the 24th World Scout Jamboree, I was one of the assistant unit leaders that went from Warwickshire. I was the comms champion in one of the two units, which was the Montagues. When I applied to be a Jamboree unit leader, it was in 2017, which made me 22. And I had not got a lot of actual leadership experience. I'd done lots of things within scouting, and I'd been a scout from Beavers all the way through. But the majority of my experience was, for example, working on events like Get In or being the county communications champion. And so there was definitely a learning curve there for me, being a leader and having that FaceTime, sort of face-to-face scouting on the ground. That was a bit new. But this is where sort of the other leaders' experience in that area really came up trumps, and I was able to fill in some of the areas that my skills naturally complemented. So it's okay if you don't necessarily have a massive amount of actual leadership experience behind you, because you will learn and you will grow that as you go through the journey. As long as you know scouting, you'll be okay. The most unexpected thing for me was it's how much I actually enjoyed the experience and how much I got from it personally. You might think that being a leader as opposed to a participant, you might be slightly detached from the journey. You know, you're there for the participants, but I really enjoyed it. I massively enjoyed it, and the experience impacted me and caused me to change some things in my life. So I didn't see that coming, and it was a brilliant thing. Over the course of the Jamboree, you meet a lot of people. You start off by meeting the other unit leaders, the people you'll be working with over the next 2 years. Then you start off by meeting the participants, and you might continue to meet other unit leaders from around the country and the UK contingent management team and the support team. And then you get to your destination and you meet the people you're camping next to, and then you meet more and more people from around the world. And it's the people that make the experience for me. I have particularly over the Jamboree itself, but especially including the lead up, I met a lot of fantastic people who are putting their heart and soul into that adventure, and it really comes through. I think there's something special when you get people together to do something that they believe in, and that's it. No one's getting paid. Everyone's there because they want to be, and that level of passion really comes through. I really enjoyed just doing it for the people. One of the most challenging aspects of being a Jamboree unit leader isn't just putting the time in, it's sustaining the level of energy, commitment, passion, everything that you need to take on the role for 2 years. A lot of life events can go on in 2 years. You will change as a person, what you do, there's a lot of scope for change. And as such, being being a unit leader for 2 years on that build up, it's a real challenge. You might become demotivated at times, and you might have other commitments that you need to sort of trickle away for before coming back to the unit, and that's something that that's something that working with your team, with the other unit leaders that you're going with, naturally sort of brings about and helps you cope with. It's okay to recognize that it can be challenging, but it's certainly worth it at the end. There's no doubt that time's a big commitment for the Jamboree, and it's a bit of a sliding scale. When you take up the role of being a unit leader, things are positively relaxed compared to what it's like by the time you get just before the Jamboree. So you might be putting in a couple of hours a week before, just as you take up the role over the forthcoming 6 to 12 months, with peaks around the times where you might schedule unit events, unit camps, preparation camps, which requires a bit more time around those. But then when you start leading up into the final 6 months before the event, it starts going up and up. And you have to be ready for the fact that just before the event, you're working on the jamboree in some way every night, every week. Um, it's a massive time commitment. Juggling the jamboree with something else, anything else, is going to be a challenge. There's no two ways about it, but it does all pay off. If you can commit that time, it's a brilliant reward over the course of the experience. If someone were thinking about applying to be a jamboree unit leader, um, there's a bit of advice I would give them. The first one is to work through your doubts and do it, commit, apply, because I will maintain that the jamboree was the best experience I've had in my life. It's probably the best thing I've done. Um, it is simply fantastic in ways that I would really struggle to articulate coherently. But essentially, it's an amazing experience and one that I wish far more people could share. Um, so absolutely get that application in and try and think about, well, when writing that application, what you can really bring to the table, because everyone's got skills. You might not be the most organized of people. You might not be the most physically active kind of person. You might not be, I could say lots of little things that describe a characteristic, but every person can bring something to a team. You'll have skills. So talk about them. What can you do? Are you personable? Are you good at working things out? Are you quite good at problem solving? Are you good with your team? Figure that out, and it's what you can champion throughout the application process.